Hey everybody, it's Missy, fourth grade teacher at Syracuse Academy of Science and Citizenship Charter School. Today, for social studies, we are going to be starting with the agricultural revolution, or as known as the Neolithic Revolution. So this is a time way back when people lived in small communities and they were hunters and gatherers. So first we're going to cover our vocabulary. So we're going to be talking a lot about agriculture. So some of you may know about agriculture. And agriculture is the science, art, and business of cultivating soil, producing crops, and raising livestock. And all of those things together we call farming. Now agriculture is a noun, as you'll see. All of these vocabulary are nouns. The Fertile Crescent, this is a place that existed a long time ago. So the Fertile Crescent was a region in the Middle East which curves like a quarter moon shape from the Persian Gulf through modern-day southern Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Israel, and northern Egypt. And so this was a place that they call it fertile because a lot of civilizations ended up migrating to this area, and this is where they were able to grow their crops and raise their livestock and just have a really successful society because of the Fertile Crescent, because it was near water, because of all the minerals and nutrients. Livestock. Livestock are animals that we raise for food or that we raise for other things. And crops. Crops are plants that we are grown for food for humans and animals or used for producing goods. So sometimes we use crops to make other things like fabrics. So during the agricultural revolution, people made a big transition. So this is during probably over 10,000 years ago when people were hunters and gatherers. And now that means exactly what it says, hunt. So hunters, they would go out, they would have to hunt for things like we see that these people here hunted a deer. And so they would have to hunt for their food. They would also gather their food. So the men would go out and they would hunt, and the women would go out and gather. So they would find berries, they would find leaves, they would find other things that they could either use for food or for medicine. Now the transition happened during 10,000 BC. So this is a long, long time ago. And here we have a picture of the Fertile Crescent. And we see right here is our crescent. This is where a lot of civilizations started. And like I said, it's near the Persian Gulf, it's near water. A lot of civilizations would always pop up near water because those were areas where the land was going to be fertile. They were going to be able to fish. They were going to be able to get to different places and trade. Now, during this transition, people went from being hunter-gatherers to exactly what it says, agricultural revolution. They became farmers. They lived in agrarian societies. Now, agrarian basically just means they lived in societies where they were based off of agriculture instead of what we have today, which is more of a capitalist society where we trade and we buy goods and services produced by big companies. Here, everyone was self-sustaining, and that means that they were able to make and raise and grow everything that they needed right there. And then what they would do is they would trade with people. So we see this picture here, this Egyptian or this perhaps Mesopotamian person, and they are plowing their field. That is what these oxen are pulling, is a plow, and that would turn the dirt for them easily so that they wouldn't have to do it by hand. It saved them a lot of time. And that's a way that they were using livestock as a domesticated way. So they were using livestock to help them and help them build up their farms. Now, during this agricultural revolution, like I said before, people started living in agrarian societies. So they started farming, they started raising livestock, and eventually this developed up into medieval Europe, and where we learned about lords, we learned about serfs who worked on the lord's land, and the lords lived in a manor, and they owned that land that they would the serfs would work on the land, and they would raise the crops and for the lord, right? For a small amount of money they would get, and they would also be able to keep some of those crops. So that was called feudalism. And feudalism was kind of built off of these agrarian societies. And we will cover feudalism more tomorrow, where we will learn more about the manners and the lords and kind of how society was structured based off of that. Okay, everybody, so today, that was our first lesson today in social studies, and tomorrow we will cover feudalism. Have a great day.